A critical day in the quest to find the Chicago Bears a new home. The movement today at the State House putting us a step closer to the goal line.
It's not you, it's me. The start of a mutual breakup between the Colts and its quarterback.
We're pressing on here at the NFL Scouting Combine, and we hear from an Indiana native. He has a tie to Indiana. Really cool. Tight end Tanner Koziol. Hear from him coming up on 13 Sports.
Plus, a manhunt is underway following a police chase that ended in a crash on Indy's east side. We have the latest.
And we've got clouds in place right now, but wait until you see the clearing forecast that sets us up for a beautiful Friday.
Good afternoon. The plan to lure the Chicago Bears to Indiana is moving forward.
In fact, the bill to build them a stadium now is headed straight to the Indiana governor's desk. 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker was there as that measure passed this afternoon. Emily.
Hi, ladies. Yeah, this passed with overwhelming support in the Senate this afternoon. You know, there has been a lot of bipartisan support as well as excitement when it comes to this idea of bringing the Chicago Bears to Indiana. So it's not surprising that a lot of senators wanted to get up this afternoon and speak about the work to make this happen. The legislation poised to bring the Chicago Bears to Indiana is Senate Bill 27, which creates a framework to make that happen. The legislation establishes the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, which sets up how the stadium in Hammond, Indiana will be funded. The Bears are set to invest over $2 billion in the project, with Indiana financing a portion with bonds. Those bonds will be repaid through a 1% food and beverage tax by next year in Lake and Porter counties that would generate up to $18 million. The bill also allows Lake County to increase local hotel tax rates from 5 to 10%. And finally, it would allow Hammond to establish a 12% admissions tax for events held at the stadium. The bill's author says he's even heard from people in Illinois who support bringing the Bears to Indiana.
I was really surprised to see that most of the people from Illinois called me or wrote me and said that, you know, it'd actually be easier for us to get to games in Northwest Indiana than the current stadium or a proposed stadium site in Illinois.
This legislation positions Indiana not as a spectator in economic competition, but as a contender. It says we're prepared. It says we're coordinated. It says we are confident in our ability to steward opportunity responsibly.
So is this a done deal? Well, not quite. This was just a bill to set up the funding mechanism for this stadium should it happen. In fact, Illinois lawmakers today are holding hearings to keep the Chicago Bears there in Illinois, possibly at a new site. Now, Senate Bill 27, now that it has passed the Senate, it heads to the governor's desk for his signature, which we expect to happen fairly quickly. He has said all along when it comes to this deal that Indiana is open for business. Ladies, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Emily, thanks so much. Now, earlier today, Indiana Governor Mike Braun spoke about this bill when he went on the Pat McAfee show on ESPN, explaining how this all started.
They came to us. We didn't try to lure them because they thought there was no interest, and they were being told bluntly, you know, you got to build your own stadium.
Braun told McAfee that he expects the Bears to ink a final deal in the next month or two. He said it's easier to run a business in Indiana than across the border in Illinois.
On to more news now. 3 suspects are on the loose following a police chase that ended on Indy's east side. The video you see here is of the suspect's crashed SUV at 38th Street and Winter Drive. Police believe this vehicle was used in a shooting yesterday when officers attempted a traffic stop near 38th and Post Road today just before 1 p.m. The driver took off and crashed a short time later. The suspects got away.
One man now in police custody after a woman was found dead in a burned mobile home. We're told the two lived there on the west side of Indy. Police say the suspect told a detective what happened, and so our Brandon Schaff went there today to learn more.
This mobile home behind me, you can still see the yellow tape on the outside of it, fire damage on the inside where a woman was found dead, a man now arrested.
The woman was identified by the Marion County Coroner's Office as 59-year-old Bonnie Arnold. IMPD and IFD arson investigators determining the fire was intentionally set. According to court documents, IMPD was dispatched to this home on Landola Lane on Wednesday morning on a report of a mobile home on fire with a dead woman possibly inside. The person who called 911 saying they thought it was murder by arson. IFD also responded, and when first responders entered the home, they found evidence of a fire in the living room that had gone out. They located Arnold on the bedroom floor, where she was pronounced dead. Court documents say the suspect told the detective he bought matches with the intention of starting a fire at the home. The suspect explained he sprayed the living room couch with nail polish remover and lit it on fire. IMPD says several agencies worked together to investigate what happened and catch the suspect.
It is a life that was taken too soon. That's what we have to be thinking about. And every life means something, and we continue to say that. This is proving that, and how quick our detectives worked and our officers on the street worked. That's what we want to keep doing to fight for our victims in this community.
The suspect faces felony murder and arson resulting in serious bodily injury charges. On the Indianapolis West Side, Brandon Schaff, 13 News.
And a 16-year-old is being charged as an adult following a shooting involving Metro officers. This happened Saturday night. The teen is now facing charges of dangerous possession of a firearm and criminal recklessness. It stems from a shots fired call on North Webster Avenue. That's where police found 18-year-old DeAndre Hart shot. He died at the hospital. Officers later learned that several juvenile suspects ran from the scene. After the suspect's car was stopped, that's when the shooting took place, I should say. 3 young men were hospitalized while a 4th suspect was later detained. No officers were hurt in this shooting. Officers also found multiple guns in the suspect's car.
After Beech Grove police officer Brian Elliott was killed in the line of duty and a 16-year-old is accused of shooting at IMPD officers, the Indy FOP president says he's concerned and pretty frustrated with the violence against police. Rick Snyder thinks juveniles aren't facing enough consequences for gun violence. He thinks juveniles should be charged as adults like the 16-year-old now is. Snyder is also advocating for a constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot this November. This amendment would allow judges to deny bail for certain defendants. He thinks that will help protect officers and keep repeat offenders in jail. He points to a recent change in Marion County that increased bail. He says it's helping what he calls interrupt violence in the city.
Indiana Governor Mike Braun met with faith leaders and community members earlier this morning, coming together to mark Indiana's 62nd Leadership Prayer Breakfast. It started in 1964, and it was created to pray for and with Indiana state leaders and the communities they serve. The breakfast is also a chance for leaders to discuss current issues and to bring forward big questions. The governor today addressed the group, talking about the impact of prayer.
We're a state that's based richly in faith, and as we were speaking earlier, we need to figure out how, with our current generation, we engender that in the generations to come, and I think we got some work to do there.
Participants in the event today told 13 News they're glad to join the faith community and strengthen spirituality in a, quote, unsatisfied world.
Well, some big news for downtown Indy. Today, Lugar Plaza was officially designated as a park, and that means it's only open to the public from dusk to dawn, and the use of drugs and alcohol are prohibited. IMPD says you can expect to see officers and park rangers in and around the park to enforce these new laws. And if we take a look outside, we got loads of sunshine and some warmer temperatures to warm our weekend up as we get into our Friday.
That's right. We're at 50 degrees right now, and Rob is here with what we can expect tonight and tomorrow. We've kind of circled Friday on the calendar.
And you should.
Good.
It is going to look fantastic for tomorrow.
Good.
Enjoy that while you can, because it's fleeting this time of year. You take those nice days and then it's a lot of ups and downs and back and forths from 60s to snow and back to 60s. Here's where we sit currently. Not too bad, 50 degrees for Indy. We do have some 40s in place for many of you. Now, there have been a few clouds that have been filtering through and even some precipitation, but a lot of this honestly isn't reaching the ground. I've been looking at some of the reporting sites. There may be some areas where it's reaching the ground as a little bit of rain, light rain or drizzle here and there, but overall we're expecting that to move out, and I'm expecting clearing skies for the next several hours. Here's what to expect. Temperatures will drop through those 40s. Notice the clouds on the decrease here, and then during the overnight seeing the temperatures drop back down into the 30s. Now that's how we'll start tomorrow at 33. but we're going to add 30 degrees on top of that by tomorrow afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will be up into the 60s. This is going to be a beautiful day with a high temperature of around 63 degrees. But like I said, enjoy this while you can, because the changes coming for the weekend do include some snow, and then eventually we'll get back into the 60s. A roller coaster ride in the 7-day. That's coming up.
Big news today. If you're a Colts fan, it was announced that the Colts and QB Anthony Richardson have mutually agreed to seek a trade.
Yeah, I think we all looked at our alerts when that came through. So what does this mean? We asked our friend Jake Queer to join us to break all of this down. Jake from 107.5 The Fan. Okay, does this, I mean, clearly this means, I think, we think it means. They're
Basically
breaking up.
what it means, look,
They're discussing a breakup.
the Colts gave Anthony Richardson permission to put looking for work on his LinkedIn page. Right?
I feel like
I
this
could
is
go
open
younger
for
and
work,
say,
yeah.
they said, look, or open for work. They said, look, you can open a Tinder account if you'd like and see if somebody matches. Basically what this comes down to is this. Anthony Richardson was drafted by the Colts in 2023, obviously, right? And during that time, he's had what has been a very up and down tenure with his time with the Indianapolis Colts, somewhat because of injury, somewhat because of just lack of an understanding maybe of what goes into the quarterback position. But the reality is this: Daniel Jones is here. The Colts believe they're going to be able to re-sign Daniel Jones. He is indeed a free agent. So they've said to Anthony Richardson, the reality is this: if you would like to find a team that you believe would be a good fit for you, we are open to you and your agent having that conversation and then reporting back to us, basically doing kind of the legwork here, to be honest with you, but report back, and then if there is a match, we will call that team and see if in fact we can get a trade worked out. I think it's realistic to think that they would get somewhere around a 5th round pick, something like that, for Anthony Richardson. But this allows him to try to find the best situation for him, and it allows the Colts. I think what this says is that they have turned the page on it. And we've kind of known that, but now we have an official symbolism that they've turned the page on the Anthony Richardson era. And Riley Leonard, for now, would be the guy, if Daniel Jones is brought back, that will be the backup there, unless they believe that Jones might need somebody to fill in for him for more than a month when he comes off that Achilles injury, in which case they may go out and sign more of a veteran player to back up if, in fact, it goes beyond, say, 4 or 5 games. But as of right now, this indicates that the Anthony Richardson era is coming to an end in Indianapolis.
It really sounds like a win-win for both sides.
I think it does, Anne-Marie, because the reality is this: Anthony Richardson's not a bad guy. This is not a player this is not a situation where there is a bad will between either one of them. It just didn't work out here. And sometimes you see with players that a new start is what's needed, because you get labeled by the expectation of how and when you were acquired by a franchise. So the expectation goes up. For a young, promising player like Anthony Richardson, who has all the physical tools, going to a situation where they say, you know what, we took a flyer on this. Now the heat's off of him. He may flourish in that situation. So it would work out best for both, because the Colts have what they believe to be their guy in Daniel Jones, assuming they re-sign him.
Yeah, I think really to be your best, you got to have all the pieces in place.
Correct.
And that just wasn't the case here.
He's
for him.
23 years old. Hopefully a new situation, new people, new players, all the things can come together. I've never been in a relationship with an NFL team, but I think I have been in a relationship, and you don't want someone to say, oh, go out there and look.
And you also, this will be the situation now. It's hard as a young player, as a quarterback, to be the leader when you're the youngest guy on the roster.
Right.
He'll go somewhere now with a little more experience under his belt. That might give him a little more confidence in terms of his new place.
Well, you know, you almost have to fail before you can really win. And you learn more from your
I hate to say
failures.
this. He's kind of done that part, Anne-Marie. I
Yeah.
hate to say it that way. But, you know, he has not been able to put consistency, whether it's the body or just the position itself. He was not able to do it here. But there's enough there, I think, that someone's going to take a flyer on it. And the Colts also would like to see him do well because, again, this is a young man that Chris Ballard really likes.
Okay.
But the reality is it's time for a change of scenery.
Okay, we're going to
Thank
keep
you.
chatting because we got to get a commercial break in. But Jake from 107.5 The Fan, we appreciate it. We'll be right back.